Welcome to the Squared Circle Pit with your host, Rob Pasbani.
Now entering the Squared Circle Pit. This is the least bloody I've seen these two people in quite a while. We have two members of Eat the Turnbuckle. We have Shlak and we have Mike Beer. Thank you, gentlemen.
Wow.
Thank you for entering the pit.
How you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Give it a few minutes. We'll get bloody for you.
Yeah.
I want to also mention you guys have a documentary called Stabbed in the Face. It's a lovely little ditty. It kind of tells the whole history of the band. And I learned so much watching this documentary because, you know, my first experience seeing Eat the Turnbuckle, much like our mutual friend Sean Winkler from SiriusXM, was at the barbecue. I was actually with Sean. And you guys go over it in the documentary about how you guys started playing before doors open. And I was there and just watched how people would pile in as you guys had the most gruesome hardcore match. And I remember thinking, is that Necro Butcher? What's he doing here? So that was a wonderful introduction to Eat the Turnbuckle. And I just really love, you know, this podcast is about the intersection of rock and metal and pro wrestling, and you guys are right there at that intersection, loitering, hitting each other with light tubes.
It's funny, you know, when you're doing the shit, you don't realize influential. I hate even using that term for fucking Eat the Turnbuckle, but you can see now Eat the Turnbuckle spawned a whole bunch of bands like Matsunaga's Revenge, and there's a band Elbow Deep. You know, I mean, I'm not saying we're the first band ever to use wrestling, but we were like, you know, we took it full fucking blown. And now you're seeing extreme metal bands adopting like deathmatch wrestling and wrestling themes, unlike before when it was just punk. You know what I mean? Now we're like pushing it into extreme music territory. It's weird to see that we're just a cog in the deathmatch music.
Yeah. Like Shlak said, that, you know, we weren't the first ones, but we definitely set a precedent where if they were already doing it, we made it so they had to step their game up. That's for sure.
Yeah, there was a part of the documentary where I feel was a very flattering, I bet, for your band, where you toured with the Mentors, and they were like, actually, you guys go on after us. We can't follow you.
You know, with the Mentors, they're like, one of their gimmicks was they never play not last. That was one of their tour gimmicks for years and years and years. They always were the headline, no matter who was on the bill with them. But because Eat the Turnbuckle was so goddamn crazy on the first couple shows of the tour, they're like, yeah, dude, we'll probably play before you guys. So that's a nice little fucking, you know, shoulders off.
Step down, boys.
Right.
Another thing that kind of blew my mind that I had no idea about as I was watching the beginning of the documentary, I'm watching this footage. I'm watching the footage of you guys doing the hardcore wrestling and the deathmatch stuff at the concert. And I was thinking, like, you know, this totally reminds me of that one time I saw Bad Luck 13 Riot Extravaganza at Hellfest at Rexplex. And sure enough, I had no idea that you guys are like emerging of an upgrade of Bad Luck 13 as well. I went to that show at Rexplex. I don't know if you guys ever, I'm sure you have experienced them live. Like that show to me was such a concrete memory that after a while I stopped. I was like, I'm making this up. This didn't happen. The bleachers didn't go over. It was only until I saw footage that I'm like, wow, everything I remember is correct.
Go back and watch that if you have the DVD. I'm the one who flipped the bleachers.
Well, I was gonna say the bleachers that's the part where I almost didn't believe it, because I remember the opposite side bleachers were getting ripped apart, and I'm like, wow, that really sucks for them. And then I saw you guys were like running towards this side of the bleachers where I was, and I'm like, oh, I'm a part of the show now. I need to get the hell out of here, which I think is something that. It's a very unique thing that it completely changes the vibe of the show when you have to kind of protect yourself. The whole show is a mosh pit.
Fear, you know, it's great to actually be able to instill fear in rock and roll again.
Hey, Shlak,
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you like windmill throw a moving dolly into the crowd that night?
Yeah. Dolly you lay down on when you go to fix under a car. It must have been like 100-some-odd-pound like rolling dolly that you would slide under a car to fix the transmission or something. And I picked it up and I just wung it in the air over my head, and happened to be filming it. And dude, it like KO'd some dude while he was still standing. You know?
That's assault, brother.
That's limitations. It's over, bro. That's like.
Oh, okay.
It's why I brought it up. Yeah, it's been 10 years. You're good.
No, but this area, Philadelphia, South Jersey, Delaware, it's all like, it's the scene here. And it's just, if they do that, there's a lot of places like that. New York City's like that, like Portland's like that. There's like 6, 7 bands that are fucking awesome. And they're all the same members pretty much, just flip-flopping instruments, and maybe one band bars one from this guy, a guy from this band. And that's what Bayluck 13 was. And Call the Paramedics, the band me and Mike were in. And, you know, Chubbs has been in a bunch of bands like the Dead Meat, and we were in Crack House together. And it's just, you know, big. You just keep throwing enough shit at the wall, and one band's going to stick, and people are going to fucking notice. And it just so happens to be Eat the Turnbuckle.
Yeah, and you know, I've always praised how big of an influence ECW was, for example, on my musical tastes. I never put it together until seeing your documentary on what, like, oh, there's a whole other influence to the music scene, which is, you know, going to those, you guys attending those shows and seeing the violence, seeing how the emotional reaction to the violence with, like you mentioned, the fear and everything, bringing that aspect into the metal shows. You know, there was that, like you mentioned, of course, with Gigi Allen in the past, but Gigi Allen wasn't using light tubes and barbed wire and like hardcore wrestling elements. So there's that differentiation.
We took Gigi Allen and we took Anti-Scene, because Anti-Scene has wrestling elements, you know what I mean? Anti-Scene's probably the godfather of maybe Cocknoose, if Cocknoose was around before Anti-Scene. But Anti-Scene's like the first band to really, you know, Abdullah the Butcher and Bruiser Brody and Terry Funk and Sabu, and do songs about people like that. And Clayton would bleed like Gigi. Gigi was a little more fucking rambunctious and, you know, attack the crowd and shit. But Anti-Scene was, you know, the wrestling. And we combined both and then added a soundtrack of like Overkill and, you know, Exodus, or whatever you fucking genre you want to put Eat the Turnbuckle music in, with blast beats. But that, on top of the wrestling, really influenced the city of Philadelphia and like I said, South Jersey and Delaware area. You know, it wasn't the birth of hardcore wrestling that, you know, that's been going on since like NWA and down south and shit like that. But ECW itself was the promotion that put it in the forefront. We're like, yo, we're basing the entire promotion around hardcore wrestling. Eat the Turnbuckle, we're basing the entire band around hardcore wrestling. That's what makes Eat the Turnbuckle a definitive cog in the fucking machine, along with, you know, ECW in wrestling. You know, there was deathmatch wrestling in Japan with, you know, Onita and shit like that. And then it moved to like Terry Funk and you know, and it just gradually grew and grew and grew. Now you have like Jun Kasai in Japan and Takeda and Necro Butcher here, who we had at the fucking barbecue, and Shlak.
Of course, you know? We have Shlak. Yeah, I didn't even know Shlak. I obviously have heard of you as a deathmatch wrestler, and again, until this documentary, I didn't put it together that you were involved with this band. And I wanted to know, where did it all start for you guys? Like, did you first get into wrestling? Did you, like, growing up in Philadelphia, was it ECW that was your first exposure to wrestling, or was it, you know, the more mainstream stuff with WWF or WCW? And was it that or music that you first fell in love with?
Well, you know, I mean, I've always loved music since I was a kid, and, you know, and I guess wrestling too, you know what I mean? I'm from South Jersey. I'm not from Goldberg. Is from Mike is from where are you from? Richmond, Mike?
Now, like right outside of DC in Virginia originally, but 15 years in Philly now. So.
Right. And same with me. I'm about 15 in Philly too. But my band Call the Paramedics was on tour, and we played with Mike's band in Virginia, and we needed a new drummer, and I hit Mike up. So then, when did you move to fucking Atlantic City?
Yeah, fuck, I don't remember what year. It might have been like 2008, but they were like, yeah, Shlak promised me like delusions of grandeur and shit. He's like, come on tour, dude. You'll get paid. We got all these shows booked. I'm like, dude, that sounds so sick. I packed up the van. We had like a shitty van and packed it up. And I was living in a trailer. I bought a trailer when I was 19. I thought it'd be fun to live in a trailer park in Virginia. So I did that for a couple of years. I packed up the van and I left my trailer to my drug dealer friend and just let him sell drugs out of it. And I left and moved up to Jersey, and I never came back.
So that's how we got here.
But how did it start for you guys? What was your, like, do you remember your first either music or wrestling memory? Do you have
I think in your childhood, dude.
Yeah, I'm just trying to put all the pieces together to lay the fucking landscape down, for Christ's sake.
Like Baby Shlak.
Okay. I mean, all right, the first live concert I can remember in my head, my next door neighbor took me and his son to go see George Thorogood. I think that's the earliest live music I've ever seen. What about you?
My first one, I was 9, and I went to
Olivia Newton.
No, I wish. No, it was like one of those Toys for Tots that they did for the radio in Virginia, but it was White Zombie and the Ramones.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, no, it was good.
That's a good charity show.
The Toadies opened it up.
All right.
And what about earliest wrestling memory? Like, do you remember the earliest feud that you got into, or just like one of the first wrestling shows you attended, something like that?
I mean, man, dude, I used to watch, I have older brothers. I used to watch like Saturday morning, WWF when I was a kid. That's probably the earliest memory I could think of. And then, the rabbit hole is deep, dude. Tape trading became a thing. You start getting, that's where Gigi Allen came in. I hate to keep saying fucking Gigi Allen, but pretty much everyone in the band, Gigi is at some point, you know what I mean? What's up?
So be careful, you're gonna get sued.
Yeah, I know. He's like tape trading. He was like the crossover, I think, between Blood and Guts and music, and what else is Blood and Guts? Wrestling, and but I think that's where all that stuff came in, like early WWF, and then you would catch some like old stuff down south, some promotions down south, and then NWA and stuff like that. Then tape trading came along, and you find Gigi Allen stuff and Jamie Gillis fucking shit eating videos, and and weird old like underground deathmatch wrestling from like Japan and luchador stuff. Then I would watch that, and then the rabbit hole just then I started watching all kinds of European wrestling and Japanese, obviously, like I said, Mexican. And
so this was before ECW even? You were tape trading and all that stuff, or like around then?
Yeah, tape trading is part of punk rock, really, man. That's
of course.
Something kids really got gypped nowadays. You get everything. All the shit I'm talking about now, you just go online and you can go, it's practically on fucking YouTube. You know what I mean? We had to search for that. So when we got a fucking best of fire matches in Japan on a VHS tape, it was like, oh my God, this is gold. You show your friends, there's like, an awesome band. You had a cassette of it or something, and you're like, check this band out. And I'm like, dude, where did you get that? I'm like, don't worry, you don't have it. I do.
I think my earliest wrestling memory was when I joined to Eat the Turnbuckle.
So you weren't a wrestling fan before?
No, I was never into it. I mean, I wasn't against it. I didn't grow up with it like those guys did. So I learned a ton about it, and I like all the deathmatch and hardcore stuff. And obviously I like the really like flamboyant WWF characters and stuff like that.
Who are your guys?
Gold Dust.
Oh, like just the literal, the flamboyant stuff. Like, yeah. I'm into it. Yeah, it's another way to make people uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So that was my, how I based my character. They're like, you got to kind of pick a character. Well, they kind of picked up for me. They're like, you're kind of like gold dust, So I was like, yeah, it's perfect. So, and my entrance through the crowd, I'd be real sexual. I'd be like flicking my fingers through dudes' hair and stuff like that. And,
Yeah, it's not really a work or a gimmick, Mike. Mike is like the living embodiment of the Gold Dust character.
It's my dad.
And Shlak, did you attend? I'm guessing you did. You attend ECW shows at the arena back in the day. Which ones stand out to you as like some of the best ones that you were there live for?
Yeah, majority. I've only caught like 2 maybe at the 2300 arena. I told a lot of like early CZW. That's more when I really, because like I said, I'm from South Jersey. I'm not from Philly. And
Right.
Goldberg is from Philly, so he was like, he got to see all the fucking awesome shit. But I'm more like early, like, dude, I've been to almost every Cage of Death, every Tournament of Death. Now I get to be in them. I'm actually, the last one was supposed to be, or Tournament of Death 20. It's supposed to be this Saturday in Delaware, but apparently there's like a fucking major storm coming, like a Category 4 or something. So, that's how so they had to fucking cancel, postpone it to October 7th, and people are, freaking the fuck out online. But Tournament of Death 20, CZ,
because of the travel stuff too, right? People come from all over the world.
Right. I mean, imagine buying plane, especially in today's economy and climate. You're spending a whole bunch of money, and then you can't get a refund for a fucking plane ticket. That's got to be slightly aggravating.
That's hardcore in a different way.
Yeah, sure. Hardcore financially, worst kind.
But let's talk about. I want to talk about pain tolerance, because I feel obviously to do this sort of style of pro wrestling, you cannot escape the pain of it. No one's going to say being stabbed, you're faking it, or there's some magic trick to it. You're getting, like cut open, right? Like, I'm not exaggerating here. When did you realize that you had perhaps a higher pain tolerance than most people?
Okay, well, unfortunately, when God was making everybody, there's like the pots. I think I said this to you when we were at the premiere or whatever. I was talking to Sean about this. There's the pots in front of everyone. Like, God's like, all right, this guy is good at shooting a basketball, and he's very quick, and he's really good with sound. And then this guy, his positive traits are, this guy can really draw really well. He's good at rendering, and this guy, he's really fast. And then, unfortunately, in my pot, I got superhuman ability to absorb pain. Not the most useful talent, but at least I figured out how to make money with it.
Yeah, but you're a star now.
How did you discover this talent, though? Is it through trial and error, just getting hit with shit?
Yeah, I was a rough asshole. I get a ton of fights, and I wrestled in school, and I don't know. Look, I'm covered in tattoos. I've been heavily tattooed since I was like, I started getting tattooed when I was 15 years old on my forearms. And this is when no one had any fucking tattoos at all. Now, every 5th person has something tattooed for them. But I was on the wrestling team in school with fucking, visible tattoos. Even the parents didn't have any. So it was like very, so, that right there, okay, I get the ability to get tattooed, and then you just,
So I see. So the tattoos was like kind of the entry point. It was like the one beer of like, oh, I can handle this. This isn't so bad.
So. How rough I am, and I, seeing like that's I'm the guy, the fan on the couch that's watching it and be like, hey, I can do that shit. I think I can do that. And then next thing you know, it's like anything. You put enough love into something, okay, you take the steps. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to training and get trained, and just keep building towards a fucking goal. But I don't know. I'm a little. It's like 50% stupidity, 50% balls.
Yeah.
Maybe a larger percentage. Stupidity.
Who are your like wrestling idols? Like, I don't want to say necessarily that you like model your career after, but just people where you're like, oh, I want a career like this person.
I mean, I wouldn't say want a career like that person, but My favorite wrestler of all time is probably Bam Bam Bigelow, Beast from the East. You know, I thought, especially in ECW, now that we were talking about it, he was awesome in that. And what I really like about him in that, first, he's the first dude I remember ever seeing get tattooed since I was like 15. My dad's an old biker. He's covered in tattoos. And I'm a fucking tattooer now. You know what I mean? I remember seeing Bam Bam Bigelow. He was like the first person I ever seen with fucking tattoos on his head. And he wasn't even, you know, in a tattoo magazine or something, especially someone on TV like that. You know what I mean? And he's missing this fucking front tooth. You know, I'm missing my teeth. So, and he's from Jersey. I'm from Jersey. You know what I mean? He's from the East. But I like that Bigelow had a whole WWF career, and he never had to wrestle again. I mean, you know, I'm sure he pissed away a lot of things, but he didn't have to make money doing wrestling or wrestle again. But he saw ECW as a big up and coming promotion. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to donate my time and whatever I can to this promotion to get it off the ground because I believe in it. He didn't have to do that shit, but he did it because he saw something in ECW that all the fucking other guys see, which is awesome. And, you know, he's the fucking Beast from the East. And he was a huge, gigantic dude in a onesie. You know how fucking badass of a person you got to be to wear a onesie and still look hard and no one say anything about it?
It's true. I mean, the only way to get away with a onesie is just putting flames all over it.
I mean, come on now. But yeah, him, Sabu is fucking great, you know what I mean? But you can go all the way back, you know, Bruiser Brody, obviously, you know, fucking Abdul the Butcher.
And you guys met Abby, right? I saw a photo in the documentary. Did you go to his Chinese restaurant before it closed?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in Atlanta. When you went in, did you ever go there?
I've never been, no.
That's a weird restaurant, dude. It's like covered it's Chinese food. It's covered head to toe in pictures of him like pouring blood with other wrestlers. It's like that's what you're looking at while you're eating your fucking, you know, General Tso's.
The front of the restaurant, I mean, it's closed now, but the front of it had a big, like, kind of like a McDonald's cutout plastic, you know, sign of it with a fork in his hand and in his mouth, blood all over his face, and barbecue and Chinese food. Like, not exactly, you know, the model, a good business model to make money selling, you know, edible food and stuff like that. Not probably the smartest thing to have photos covering your walls of dudes bleeding all over the place. I mean, wrestling is a niche thing, and deathmatch wrestling is super niche. So I don't think you're paying your bills with just deathmatch and hardcore wrestling fans buying Chinese food and barbecue.
How were the ribs?
Probably
try the ribs.
Food was fine.
Oh,
yeah,
it was fine.
I think the food was good.
How would you, like, if it wasn't Abdullah the Butcher's restaurant, how would you rate the restaurant itself? It's fine. It was fine.
I wouldn't have stepped foot in that fucking place.
Yeah, Abby, he sold it for me, but that's about it. You know?
Yeah.
Understood.
Whatever gets him in the door, baby.
Right. It's probably a train of thought because I'm sure he ate plenty of that Chinese food and barbecue himself. He's like, we got to do something here. Put a picture of you know, Dan Hansen on the fucking wall bleeding all over the place.
That'll put some butts in seats, right?
Right.
Honestly, one of the scariest parts of the documentary, Stabbed in the Face, not scariest, but brutal to me, was, Mike, your suplex spot, where you took your first suplex spot, and in the documentary, Shlak, you're saying that your one piece of advice was to not bend the legs. And then, of course, and Mike, you did it, and you hurt yourself because you landed right on your legs.
Don't tell me what to do.
When the spot happens, you just make contact with the ground. What is going through your head, Mike, when you feel the pain of your?
Yeah, I mean, I felt it was like a lightning struck my foot, and I was like, that's going to be a fucking problem, you know. So I didn't realize it was broken. You know, I would get hurt all the time and shit, and you know, even if we're not performing, you know, like I've done fairly like extreme hobbies, you know, dirt biking and stuff. So I get hurt all the time, but yeah, I mean, I knew it was kind of fucked up, and you know, hobbled back to the show, but you have adrenaline going. Like when you initially heard it, it's fine. You know, you're like, okay, that sucks. That doesn't feel good, but you're fine to get through the show. And then it started like turning, you know, gray and getting really big. And I was like, fuck, you know, but we didn't have time to really go anywhere, stop or check anything out. We had like a 12-hour drive to a festival, and we had like we're out there getting by on, you know, minimal funds. So the show we had booked the next day was like a decent guarantee. And we're like, all right, we gotta, you know, there's no time we can't cancel. So we're gonna go and get there and power through that show. And thankfully there was like a little quiet little hospital, not too far. And that's when they found out it was broken. But yeah, what went through my head, I was like, this is going to be really uncomfortable if this thing doesn't heal up soon. And it did not heal up soon. So took a couple months.
Yeah. So how is it playing with the cat? You were in a soft cast, right? To be able to play, that blew my mind that you could even do that.
Yeah. So they put the, like, you know, your standard hard cast on, and he was like, yeah, you know, stay off your foot. I'm like, that's not happening. So, you know, so there's like a little boot thing that goes on it, but I was like, dude, I need to be able to get this thing off. There's going to be like broken glass and stuff falling into it. And like trying to explain that to a guy who doesn't speak much English was a challenge in itself. But you know, I was like, I need to be able to take it and like clean the blood and the glass out of my boot. And he's like, I don't know what you're saying. You know, I was like, just make it so it can come off. So luckily, you know, shady doctor was down to like cut it so I could actually pull it. He's like, let's just get this guy out of here, you know, like just cut the fucking boot, and well, he can tape it back up or something. And yeah, so that was that. I was able to get it and take it off and clean it and do all that kinds of shit. But playing with it, thankfully the Eat the Turnbuckle songs are not terribly hard. So if you know, if you can kind of play your instrument, like I could thankfully use my left foot for a lot of it. And I'm not doing anything super technical. So having that boot on it, I just had to like kind of account for the weight, like how heavy that foot is compared to my other foot. And it took a show or two, but it was fine, you know.
You didn't key on that you broke your foot on the first show of a 30-show European tour.
Yeah, 22, so it's fine. That was the second. We did France the night before, and then we did that place, or we did Paris the night before, and then we did yeah. And so I had 20 shows to go. So
And ending on a pretty big festival, right? Like you guys played Wacken.
Yeah. I think that's what it's called. That little gathering,
that little ditty.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You either, you know, I'm looking at my foot like something's gonna happen. No, you know, you can be a little baby and go home, or you just, you know, you have Wacken on the itinerary. You do what you have to do. I don't know, like maybe it's unhealthy, but the way I look at things is like, once I get involved in something, it doesn't matter. Everything aside from that it doesn't matter. I'm there to do the tour. Nothing will stop me from doing the tour. You know, like if I have an objective, that's it. And I just kind of look at it like this is the end of everything. You know, who cares? Nothing else matters. This has to happen. I need to complete this task. I don't, you know, so like the health of my leg and foot, you know, like, you know, being able to walk after that, not terribly important. What's important is getting to the end of the tour and playing Wacken. So that's, you know,
everyone would pretty sad if you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
How's my foot now though? It's okay.
Yeah, it gets a little sore when it rains, but other than that, it's fine. Yeah.
I mean, we played Obscene Extreme. There was several 1,000+ people shows on that tour, and then there was like 3 or 4,000 people attendance shows and up. Wacken was 85,000.
70 or something, 75 or something like that, whatever it is. Yeah.
And Obscene Extreme was like 8,000.
Yeah, something between 5 and 8 or something. Yeah.
And when you're playing a bigger one, like with bigger crowds, do you have to tone down the hardcore wrestling, or do you have to step it up?
You have to turn it up. You know, we only show the fun and the cool stuff. You know, there's plenty of shows where it's like, it was just a town that didn't know who we were, and they'd be small. I'm like, I'm not bleeding for this. You know what I mean? Fuck that. I'm not getting off my stool for fucking, 10 people, like, but yeah, the ones where there's a lot of people. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, you turn it up. Again, same thing. Tonight is the only thing that matters, and anything that happens after this is fucking irrelevant. There's 4,000 people here. I'll die on this stage,
I mean, that's how it should be, right?
Yeah. If you're gonna do it,
right. What's the point of fucking, going all the way across the fucking planet, busting your ass, and what do they say? Suffering and hardships are what make good memories, not being comfortable. When you're comfortable and in your jetliner and you're fucking air conditioned, and you don't remember that kind of bullshit. You go into your nice fancy hotel. That's not what sticks in your head. Things that stick in your head is the arduous fucking torture of being jammed in a Sprinter van with 6-7 other assholes with drums falling on your head because there's nowhere to actually put anything, and baseball bats covered in barbed wire, sweating because there's not one air conditioner in the entire fucking country or the entire fucking Europe as a whole. So the suffering is what you remember. You know what I mean? So what are you there?
Yeah, just make sure you have a fucking video camera, because that's the good stuff.
Right.
You got to remember it.
Insect Warfare. I don't know if you like that band, but that was the first played in like fucking 15 years, and Obscene Extreme got him. If I would have missed that, I would have broke your other ankle or foot, Mike.
Fair. Yeah.
I was gonna say, what weapon hurts the most getting hit with? Like which one sucks the worst?
Shlak.
Shlak is the worst weapon.
It's my job.
I don't know. I think it's just how you taking bumps, really. Like the weapons are the weapons. It's a quick pain, but how you fall and how you receive the bump, I think that's going to determine what hurts the most. I don't know. Shlak's way more accustomed to getting hit with stuff than any of us are. So you go ahead.
I mean, dude, like Mike said, it's, once you get over the whole idea of being cut, that's where a lot of people can't get over that bridge of the fear of being cut. You know what I mean? Once you get over, anything could fuck up. Anything could be terrible. You can swing a light tube, and if you swing it too far, you stroke too far, fucking 4-inch gash across wherever body part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, gets infected for 3 days. You got guys cleaning it out on your back. Like something like that could happen,
I mean, think if we're on the fucking road for 30 days, you know what I mean? You do a death match in a ring, maybe 1 day, 2 days, 3 days in a row, and then you have a couple of weeks off or, whatever. Eat the Turnbuckle was getting cut and thrown around and rolled around in glass and taking bumps every night pretty much for like 30-day tours in a row. That's like fucking absurd, dude. Even in deathmatch wrestling fucking world.
Really?
When we would go home and like we would be checking out to go on the fucking airplane to ride home, we would look like someone drug us behind the back of like a fucking school bus or something, just totally mangled, you know what I mean? And so everything fucking hurts. But as Mike was saying, the shit that really hurts is taking a bump, dude. Once you can get over the physical cut aspect, the bumps are internal bleeding, skin's on the outside. That shit's going to heal. But like you could be like Mike and break your goddamn fucking foot just because he came down on his fucking foot instead of the small of his back.
Yeah. I mean, the cuts are they're like a quick pain, and that's usually all while the adrenaline's going anyway. Like it's, if it's real bad and it's pouring blood, maybe you'll get nervous, but like the actual pain of the cuts is fairly tolerable. The healing of the cuts is more, I'd say that's more uncomfortable than anything is,
That's why you drink a lot and do a lot of blow.
That's yeah. I mean, that's the trick for all you up and comers out there.
That's what numbs the pain. One thing I thought about too is since Eat the Turnbuckle started and became a band and you got your notoriety, I feel we've seen a rise, maybe parallel to you guys, of no ring death match shows and shows where there's death matches. I'm sure Shlak, you've been a part of some, and there's death matches, and in a lot of them there's metal bands playing. The metal bands are typically, or from what I've seen, not involved in the hardcore action. It's separate. How do you guys? What is your take on the no ring death match?
Didn't we start that?
Here you go. Once again, why Eat the Turnbuckle is like an important cog in this wheel of punk metal wrestling deathmatch fucking machine thing. Well, in Japan years ago, they would do bar fights every once in a while, but it wasn't like a normal thing. This was like here and there. They would have something like that for a promotion. Maybe in the States, there would be a fucking parking lot fight or something like that. A brawl somewhere else. So we're not the first fucking entity to ever do wrestling not in a ring. You know what I mean?
Right.
But Eat the Turnbuckle, where Eat the Turnbuckle fits is we put it kind of in the forefront. We moved it past that. We added music. We evolved, the fucking punk bleeding all over the place fucking stage show and added wrestling to it. That's where our cog is. And we evolved that. And we got evolved, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't say we got evolved, but now, like you said, Casanova Valentine, to give him his credit, he wasn't the first person to ever do deathmatch wrestling, or wrestling in a bar. Eat the Turnbuckle did that for 10 fucking years before he did his first one. We were playing music and wrestling, in venues. But Chris was the first person to Captain Valentine, excuse me. He was the first person to like bring it to the forefront and keep it a constant thing, and and elevate it and push it and make it a thing. I don't want to say he's the godfather, but he definitely is the person that put it where it is today. But like I said, we did it for 10 years before him, and then there was people doing it in Japan and in the States and random fucking things 10, 15 years before us, 20 years maybe even, you know what I mean? But
I think everybody's, nothing's original. Everything's been done before. It's just who's going to make the most noise about doing it first. So Eat the Turnbuckle is the first people that ever did no ring death match, just so you know.
Yeah, I'm not debating the first no ring death match I saw was definitely that Eat the Turnbuckle show at the barbecue all those years ago. And I was honestly, like, at the time I was in a way like blown away, just because I was like, wow, how has no one done this before? Because at the time I'd never seen a table spot during a metal show, and I loved it. It made perfect sense, especially at the barbecue.
Yeah. So, Neil say, what I will say is Eat the Turnbuckle. I don't know if you mentioned tables just now, but now a predominant thing on the independent circuit is using doors instead of tables. Doors are significantly cheaper, and pretty much ECW and XPW and IWA, and even like, bigger promotions, they used all those tables. They pretty much, fucking completely annihilated the entire market for those specific Office Max fucking brand table, and now they're expensive. They're hard to find. Now they were like, when the Eat the Turnbuckle started, those tables were like $75 a piece. So we couldn't do 20 shows in a row and buy a table. We're a fucking shitbag fucking punk band, metal band. We can't.
That shit eats into our non-existent budget,
Right. So what we started doing was using doors. Now, like I said before, we weren't the first wrestling entity to ever use a door in wrestling match. It's happened, I'm sure it happened in down south, Japan, whatever. But Eat the Turnbuckle is the first wrestling entity to use it on a regular basis, because we needed a cheap $17 door instead of a table that we could break every fucking show. So we brought it to the limelight. And at the time, at the end of like the Eat the Turnbuckle lifespan, me and Dan O'Hare, Big Scare, he was my wrestling partner in CZW, and they were getting tables and they were putting fucking plywood over the tables after they were broke, and they were falling apart because they didn't want to keep spending, $75, $100 on a fucking table. Now they're like $150 fucking dollars. But anyway, they didn't want to spend like $75 on a fucking table. So me and Dan, I was like, Dan, how about we get fucking doors like Eat the Turnbuckle uses, and we start using them in our matches in CZW. So we started ushering it into the CZW matches, me and Dan's tag team, the Storm Entrails. And then other people in CZW started using them a lot all the time. And then it became a fucking mainstay. GCW started using, I started in GCW. They started using doors, and now everyone fucking uses them. So I will say, I will credit Eat the Turnbuckle to
Innovators, first time ever. We created the door spot. You're welcome. We saved you thousands of dollars. You're welcome. No problem. They also they look better when they break too.
Yeah. I never considered the financial aspect of it. I didn't realize that a table, even like $75 a table, that's a lot. That's right. I mean, if the charge at the door is $10, that's 8 people who have to come in just to cover the table.
Just to cover the table spot.
Yeah.
Right. Dude, fucking tables now are like $150. Even a door now. The doors we used to get for like
$60
are like $60 fucking dollars a door now, dude. So a big tour like that is not even practical, really, unless we tour with Hatebreed or something.
I'd also like to personally credit Eat the Turnbuckle for the direct inflation of those doors. They saw the demand. And,
they mowed down a massive part of the rainforest in Brazil to just supply doors for Eat the Turnbuckle through its lifespan. and that in turn had something to do with the greenhouse effect and the global warming. So I will say, I'm going to go on record here and say right now, global warming is partly due to the band Eat the Turnbuckle. We are
100%.
We are responsible for global warming. I mean, go figure,
I want to build a house in that clearing in the jungle in Brazil.
As we wind down, I want to know, what bands are you guys listening to right now? What are some bands you want to give some shout outs to?
What am I listening to right now? I mean, like someone that just dropped something new, or
either, whatever works.
You want honest answers, or should we hype up our friends?
I mean, you could do both. You could do honest answers.
Shlak's probably listening to like Cyndi Lauper in his truck. Both huge Sade fans also.
I just started listening to this band Queensway. You ever hear Queensway before?
No, I haven't.
They're you like Dying Fetus?
Of course.
Okay, well, like those like super groovy Baltimore Dying Fetus breakdowns.
Yeah, like the slam.
Well, it's a band. Queensway it's not quite a death metal band, a little more on the hardcore side, but it's all those Baltimore fucking slam like groovy breakdowns.
That's all you have to say. Dying Fetus inspired hardcore. I'm in.
Yeah. Queensway. They got like 2 EPs. Check them out. You'll dig it. But that and Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, nice. That's sick.
She's a legend.
I pretty much on repeat. I start my day every day at work with Kubla Khan, and then it ends up with Sleep Token. I am on the Sleep Token train 100%. So that's pretty much all I listen to last couple months.
I don't know that band. Sleep Token.
You're not gonna like it.
Okay.
You might. I don't know. He's got a beautiful voice. You should check it out.
What is it, like Deftones?
Yeah. It's like
periphery-ish.
It's like fucking. Have you listened to Loathe at all? It's just like heavier, hornier Deftones.
Hornier, you say?
Oh yeah, dude. Sleep Token is super horny.
Hey, all right.
They're fucking
with singing, like it's
their
vocals aren't aggressive.
Not at all.
They're very crooning.
The music is like really intricate, and the drummer is fucking absolutely nuts. But it's not crazy. It's not super fast or anything. But it's technical. It's good.
Speaking of that new Fetus album, that fucking album is sick. They just dropped that like a month ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Those dudes are so nasty. Everything they put out is sick.
Yeah. They really got their formula down pat, dude. They know exactly what they're doing.
Well, where can people watch the excellent new documentary, Stabbed in the Face? How can people see it?
We're working on that. We are looking into distribution. We're shopping around for distribution right now. We are putting together submissions for some upcoming years, film festivals. They kind of go hand in, you kind of do it at the same time. None of us really have any film experience. So we've partnered with some friends who have done it and have been doing it. And they're helping us kind of walk through how to market this film. So that's what we're working on, is trying to get it out there. So as of right now, you can't fucking watch it. It's not ready yet. We'll get it.
How punk rock. You got to do tape trading to find it.
Yeah, it's strictly VHS, man. You can order out the back of Fangoria.
Yeah. You said that. I would like to think that if this movie was made 25 fucking years ago, I would like to think this would be a solid VHS tape trade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, next to like the Mentor's Fuck video and Hated and, the best of Japanese fire matches. And the German buffet. Remember that? Where they would eat all the... All right, never mind.
I missed that tape. Are you guys going to be, are there any Eat the Turnbuckle shows in the near future? Could fans see you guys live soon?
We cannot release such information at this time.
Oh, okay. I guess keep up with the Eat the Turnbuckle socials. You can watch Shlak at the Tournament of Death in October.
XPW on the 23rd, I believe that is. Or is it the 23rd? I don't know. I think it's the 30th of September. Newark, New Jersey. It's called South of Heaven. Keep an eye out on socials and stuff for the Eat the Turnbuckle stuff. We're gonna be throwing, there'll be merch for sale and stuff like that.
We're working on a big product line drop, bunch of cool shit that we're in the process of making, and our dudes at Patchtown Films, the guys that did Heebie Jeebie TV, their film, we're gonna have some updates soon, hopefully, on where you can watch the film or buy it, or fucking if you want to attend a film festival or something like that. So
we'll just leave it at the band is not 100% dead yet. We'll kill it. Don't worry, we'll fucking completely kill it. But there's going to be things popping up, real cool Eat the Turnbuckle releases and shit like that, and who knows what's in the fucking future. But keep an eye out for like super reissue, like limited merch, stuff like that. But don't worry, we won't let you guys down. The documentary is going to be coming out after the film festivals. We'll have DVDs, Blu-rays for sale, streaming online. We'll get to that point. Just bear with us.
Yeah, we don't know what we're doing, so just
right. For this entire hour-long conversation, did it sound like we know what we're doing with anything in life?
Sound like you know how to swing a light tube.
Okay.
I'm saying.
Play some music. You know how to play some music. Watch some wrestling.
All right. Yeah, the priority.
Yeah, exactly. The important stuff. Right. Put down a proper line. Important stuff. All right. Well, that's the show. Thank you so much to Eat the Turnbuckle. Follow them on social media and always, as always,
film.
thank you. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you can follow the film on Instagram. It's Stabbed in the Face Film. And, everything else should just be Eat the Turnbuckle. So
great. Yeah. I'll include some links in the description. And thank you for coming into the pit.
No problem.
Yeah.